Have you ever stood in front of a mirror, pulling at the waistband of your jeans, wondering why, no matter how little you eat or how hard you work out, your belly fat just won't budge anymore? If you're in your 40s or beyond, and you've felt that frustration, you are not alone. In fact, I want to tell you something right now, something that may go against everything you've been told. It's not your fault. It's not just calories. And you are not too old to change. As a medical researcher and practitioner with over 20 years in metabolic health and hormonal science, I've worked with thousands of men and women, many of whom came to me after decades of yo-yo dieting, running endless miles, and watching the number on the scale stay exactly the same, or worse, go up. And almost always, they look at me with the same question in their eyes. Why is it so hard now? What changed after 40? Let me give you a real story. Her name was Lillian. She was 46 when she walked into my office, clutching a binder of food logs, Fitbit stats, and every blood test she had paid for out of pocket. "I've done everything right," she said. "Low-fat diet, cardio every day, barely any sugar. But this," she gestured at her midsection, "this won't go away." Her voice cracked a little. "I don't even care about the weight anymore," she whispered. "I just want to feel like myself again." What Lillian didn't know, and what most people never get to learn, is that belly fat after 40 isn't just about what you're eating. It's about what your body is doing with what you eat. And that changes dramatically as you age. You see, once you enter your 40s, your body starts to shift hormonally. Estrogen and testosterone begin their slow decline. Cortisol creeps higher under chronic stress. Insulin, your master fat storage hormone, becomes more stubborn and less responsive. And your cells? They stop listening to these hormones the way they used to. This is called insulin resistance. And it's the silent engine behind belly fat, fatigue, sugar cravings, poor sleep, and even mood swings. But here's the good news. When you understand the science, when you know what's happening underneath the surface, you can reverse it. And no, I'm not talking about starving yourself. I'm not talking about eating kale for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm definitely not talking about signing up for some boot camp that leaves your joints screaming. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 evidence-based, real-life strategies that I use in clinic with my patients over 40, people just like Lillian, who are now not only losing belly fat, but feeling strong, balanced, and fully alive again. You'll learn how to reverse insulin resistance without medication, a natural sugar, yes, sugar, that helps lower blood glucose, the diet that mimics fasting without starving you, how your genes could be sabotaging your fat loss, and how to work around it, why your gut microbes may hold the real key to trimming your waist, and the surprising fat-burning switch your body already has, but no one told you about. And I promise you this, by the end of this video, you won't just understand why your body is holding on to fat, you'll understand exactly how to let it go. So if you've ever felt betrayed by your body, if you've ever wondered, am I just stuck like this forever? Stick with me, because the answer is no. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You're simply overdue for a new approach, one rooted in science, real metabolism, and deep respect for your body's wisdom. Let's get started. Hormonal science, why belly fat becomes stubborn after 40. Let's begin with a truth that many doctors and health coaches simply don't tell you. After 40, your body doesn't work the way it used to. And that's not a sign of failure. That's biology. The changes you experience, slower weight loss, stubborn belly fat, disrupted sleep, unpredictable cravings, are all rooted in hormone shifts. These are silent but powerful forces working behind the scenes, directing how your metabolism functions, where your fat gets stored, and even how you emotionally respond to stress and food. So let's lift the curtain and look at the 4 biggest hormonal players in belly fat after 40. 1. Insulin, the storage commander. Insulin is a hormone made by your pancreas. Its main job? Move sugar out of your bloodstream and into your cells, to be used for energy or stored as fat. But here's the catch. When you eat often, especially processed carbs, sugars, or even excessive grains, your body pumps out insulin repeatedly. Over time, your cells stop listening. This is called insulin resistance. And when that happens, blood sugar levels stay elevated. Fat cells, especially in the abdominal area, visceral fat, become hyperactive. You gain weight, specifically around your organs, not just under the skin. You feel tired, sluggish, and hungry. even after eating. This process is like shouting into a crowded room. The more you yell, insulin, the less people, your cells, pay attention. After 40, this insulin resistance becomes more common. Why? Because of reduced estrogen and testosterone, and changes in how your cells process glucose. It's one of the primary reasons. You can eat the same foods you did in your 30s, but gain weight now. Real-world example. My patient David, age 52, was eating oatmeal, banana, and orange juice for breakfast. What he thought was healthy, but his blood sugar was spiking to over 180 milligrams per deciliter every morning. After wearing a continuous glucose monitor, CGM, we swapped that meal for eggs, avocado, and sautéed spinach. Within a week, his energy tripled, and cravings vanished. 2. Cortisol, the stress fat enabler. Cortisol is your stress hormone. It's your body's alarm system, part of the fight or flight response. When you were younger, a stressful event might spike cortisol temporarily. Then it would drop. But after 40, with more chronic stress, work, kids, aging parents, sleepless nights, cortisol levels can stay elevated constantly. Why does this matter? Because cortisol signals your body to store fat, especially visceral fat, as a form of protection. Increases your appetite and cravings for sugar and salty foods. Disrupts sleep, which further messes with hunger hormones like ghrelin and leptin. Raises blood sugar, meaning more insulin release. The result? You're stuck in a loop. Stress, cortisol, belly fat, poor sleep, more stress. Real-world example. Maria, age 48, was doing HIIT workouts 5 times per week, sleeping only 5 hours per night, and drinking 3 cups of coffee daily. Her cortisol was through the roof. We pulled back on workouts, added walking and yoga, and focused on sleep hygiene. 3 months later, her belly fat dropped, not from doing more, but from doing less and smarter. 3. Estrogen and testosterone, the quiet retreat. Estrogen, for women, and testosterone, for both men and women, play major roles in fat distribution. These hormones help keep muscle mass up, regulate mood, and prevent central fat storage. But around your 40s, women begin perimenopause. Estrogen fluctuates, a radically increased abdominal fat. Men see a gradual decline in testosterone, reduced muscle, more fat gain, especially belly. Both sexes experience lower libido, lower energy, slower metabolism. This hormonal drop creates a perfect storm. You're burning fewer calories at rest, you're storing more fat, and you're losing the very hormones that kept your waistline stable for decades. Case note, Jeff, 57, was a former athlete. He gained 20 pounds around his waist over 5 years. His testosterone had dropped below 300/DL, borderline low. With the right exercise, resistance training, and HIIT, zinc supplementation, and weight loss, his testosterone normalized, and the belly fat started to drop. 4. GLP-1, the fat-controlling messenger. GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1, is a lesser-known but powerful hormone that slows stomach emptying, increases feelings of fullness, stimulates insulin only when glucose rises, reduces glucagon, which normally raises blood sugar. In short, GLP-1 helps manage hunger, blood sugar, and fat storage all at once. But with age, especially with poor gut health, GLP-1 production can decrease. The result? You're hungrier more often, less satisfied with meals, and more prone to weight gain, especially around the belly. The recent wave of GLP-1 weight loss drugs, like Ozempic or Wegovy, work by mimicking this hormone. But guess what? There are natural ways to boost GLP-1 too, like improving gut health, eating resistant starches, consuming certain prebiotics, and polyphenol. Clinical observation. We had a client who used allulose, a rare sugar, in her yogurt daily for 3 months. Not only did she lower post-meal blood sugar spikes by over 30%, but she also reported feeling fuller longer. That small change, it supported her GLP-1 levels naturally. Final thought, you're not fighting calories, you're navigating chemistry. This is where most diets go wrong. They treat your body like a math equation. Fewer calories equals weight loss. But after 40, your body is no longer a calculator. It's a chemistry lab. You're dealing with hormones that are shifting, interacting, and sometimes conflicting. To lose belly fat, you need to retrain your metabolic signals. not just reduce your food portions. It's not about eating less. It's about eating smarter. It's about understanding how to work with your body, not against it. And that's what we'll explore in the next section. How to reverse insulin resistance naturally and break the belly fat cycle, starting with your next meal. The real weight you're carrying isn't just fat, it's belief. Let's pause here, take a breath, and look at what you've just uncovered. If you've made it this far, you haven't just listened to strategies or studies. You've walked through a deeper understanding of your own biology. You've peeled back the layers of myths that have burdened so many people over 40, with shame, confusion, and silent defeat. And maybe, just maybe, you're beginning to realize something you've never fully admitted before. It was never just about belly fat. It was about feeling like your body no longer listened to you, like your efforts didn't count, like you were invisible, even to yourself. But that ends here, because what I want you to know, more than any blood sugar hack or fasting trick, is this: your body is not your enemy. It is your most loyal ally. And every stubborn pound, every inch that refuses to leave, every craving that confuses you, has a story to tell. For Lillian, it was a story of postpartum trauma never healed. For David, it was years of silent stress, from being the only earner in a home of 5. For Maria, it was a lifetime of believing her worth depended on productivity, not peace. And for you, maybe it's decades of chasing the scale, instead of chasing healing, or blaming yourself, when it was never really your fault, or simply not knowing that your chemistry changed, but your compassion didn't. The lesson beneath the fat. Let me be clear, belly fat is not just cosmetic. It's metabolic. It's inflammatory. It increases your risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cognitive decline, and even some cancers. But addressing it isn't about punishment. It's about permission. Permission to eat in a way that fuels, not deprives. Move in a way that heals, not hurts. Sleep like it matters, because it does. Say no to anything that keeps your stress chronically elevated. Reclaim the hormone conversations no one taught you to have. You now understand how insulin quietly rewires fat storage, how cortisol hijacks your belly when stress stays too long, how estrogen and testosterone shift the landscape of metabolism, and how GLP-1 and your gut microbes might be the forgotten keys to balance. This is not theory anymore. It's your reality. It's not too late. You're not too far gone. I don't care what your scale says. I don't care what your past attempts have looked like. And I especially don't care what that voice in your head says when you change in front of a mirror. What I care about is that today, you know more. You know why your body did what it did. And now, you know what you can do differently. Not out of fear, but out of self-respect. And no, you don't need to get it perfect. You just need to get it going. Here's what getting it going might look like. Swapping one high-sugar breakfast for one high-fiber, low-glycemic meal. Turning one of your 3 intense gym sessions into a 45-minute walk in nature. Adding fermented foods or polyphenol-rich berries to your grocery list. Sleeping with your phone outside your bedroom for a week. Laughing, journaling, praying, meditating, or breathing deeply for 5 quiet minutes each morning. These aren't small. They're seismic shifts, masked as gentle changes. And together, they begin to reshape your chemistry, your mood, your belly. A message to the you who feels tired. Maybe you've been at war with yourself for years. Maybe every food choice feels like a landmine. Maybe you're afraid that if you start again and fail again, it'll break you this time. But what if starting again is exactly what heals you? What if the old approach failed because it was broken, not you? What if belly fat wasn't a failure to fix, but a signal to listen? You don't need to punish yourself smaller. You need to nourish yourself stronger. Repeating this one truth. In medicine, we often say, the diagnosis is not the destiny. And when it comes to midlife metabolism, let me offer you a reframe. The fat is not your fate. It's a messenger, a motivator, a moment. And if you're reading this, if you're still listening, then maybe, just maybe, this is the moment you stop trying to go back to who you were and finally start becoming who you were always meant to be. Healthy, whole, and wise. Let's do this together. Now, I don't want you to leave this video with just another to-do list. I want you to leave with a vision of yourself walking into your next decade with strength in your legs, clarity in your mind, peace in your belly, and freedom in your choices. This is not just weight loss. It's weight liberation. So, if you're ready for that, comment below and tell me. I'm ready for a new story. Because I promise you, this one's just beginning, and you're not alone in it anymore.